Good morning. Welcome back to That Simple Life with the DeVorwell fam. Today I wanted to talk a little bit, sorry I hit my camera. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about mental health and kind of my story. I have a few minutes before I have to wake up Kennedy because she starts back up with speech therapy and occupational therapy today. So I do have to wake her up in about 10 minutes and get her dressed and fed before we walk out the door. But I got my coffee. So let's get started. Here's my story. So a month ago, I have an eating disorder, and I've had one since I was 14. I think was even before I was 14, because I remember even as a little kid not liking the way I looked, feeling uncomfortable in clothes that they even felt like a tiny bit tight, comparing myself to others. Like even at 5 and 6 years old, I had an aunt that would tease me and call me Petunia the pig, which was hurtful. I mean, I think she was just playing, but I was on the chubbier side when I was little. But looking back at pictures, I wasn't overweight or anything like that. It was baby fat. I was cute, actually. I was a pretty cute little kid. Anyway, at 14, I saw an after-school special, and I know this has happened to several other people that I've seen, like on YouTube, and a couple people that I know would watch one of those after-school specials on eating disorders, on like what not to do, and do it, thinking, for me at least, thinking, oh, I can do that, and that's an easy way to eat my food and get rid of it. I just won't take it as far. So then I developed the habit of binging and purging. And it was bad, but not bad where my parents noticed or anything. At one point my mom thought I was doing it, but I just lied and said I wasn't. I do wish at that age I would have been honest, because I'm 100% certain my parents would have tried to get me the help that I needed so that I could have taken care of it then, instead of it following me all into my adult years, even now. So it didn't really get bad until my 20s, when I was with my ex-husband. The anorexia part of the disease really got bad because we had a very abusive relationship, and I never felt good enough for him, and there was just a lot that went on in the 7 years that I was with him. And to kind of compensate and make myself feel better, which was really punishing myself, I would starve myself down to like 110 pounds, and then get so hungry, then the other cycle would begin where I'd binge and purge. And at one point, like, all my hair started falling out. I became very anemic. My skin had like this bluish color to it. I started getting the weird hair on me. And I lost a baby because I also abused diet pills, and I didn't know I was pregnant, and I ended up miscarrying, and I'm pretty sure that's why. I was downing diet pills, I was starving myself, I was throwing out my food. It was just all bad. And I have also always suffered with social anxiety, so I was shy, but I wasn't. Like, I had friends, but not a lot of friends. I would always be uncomfortable at parties or in large crowds. Now, I could get up and sing, no problem, in front of a large crowd, but like ordering food somewhere, like at McDonald's, or talking to somebody on the phone to make an appointment, overwhelms me. Still does. Like, I have a really hard time in social situations. Okay, so now you got a little bit of background. Before we moved here to Idaho, and you can look at past vlogs, I did check myself into an outpatient treatment center for eating disorders, an IOP, and it did help. Unfortunately, when I was there for 6 months, I got to go home. So I mean, like, I didn't stay overnight or anything, but it was like 3 days a week, and it was very intensive, and group therapy and individual therapy, and I had a dietitian working with me. and it was very helpful. But unfortunately, my brain, when I am stressed, that seems to be my go-to like crutch that I lean on, so I automatically start to fall back into old habits. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. Okay, so a month ago, I noticed I started putting on some weight. I'd gotten sick last summer, never did figure out what it was, but I had lost a bunch of weight without even trying. I just didn't feel good. And then I had COVID in February and I lost even more weight. And then I got better and I was hungry. So I just ate and I was keeping my food down, which was good, but I did put on probably 20 pounds. And when I gain weight like that, I just feel so uncomfortable, and I always look for quick fixes. Okay, now this sounds really bad, so I don't recommend this. Please don't do this. I struggle. So Kennedy is on Quilichew, which is a stimulant for humans. It's a stimulant for people that have ADHD, and it helps her slow down, it helps her focus, it helps with the autism part. It's been great. She's wonderful on it. The only thing is it decreases her appetite. So you can see where I'm going with this. We have to supplement with like little protein shakes for kids, and trust me, she makes up for it because it starts to wear off around 3 o'clock, and then she wants to eat everything. So she's not underweight or anything like that, but it does decrease her appetite. Well, her doctor changed her dosage, so I had some leftovers. I had extra pills. So my brain was like, well, if it decreases her appetite, maybe it will decrease mine and I can lose a little bit of weight, which I don't recommend. You shouldn't do that. It's not even legal. So I took one of her pills, and here's the weird thing. It really didn't do anything for my appetite, but within the first hour, I felt this overwhelming calmness where I actually felt my brain and my speech and everything just seemed to kind of slow down for me. I don't know how to explain it. It was the weirdest feeling. I just felt calm. Like everything felt okay. The messes around the house, the kids arguing, it just all felt like, okay, this is normal life. It just felt okay. And the rest of the day, I just was calm and focused, and it didn't decrease my appetite, but I didn't feel the need to binge and purge, because a lot of times I will do that, like when I'm stressed, something will happen and I'll just go and eat, and then I'll want to throw up. Or at night when everybody's asleep, I'll want to go and eat and then get rid of it. Didn't feel the urge once that day, which is pretty significant. It was huge. So I brushed it off as just having a good day. And then the next 3 days, I was back to my anxiety-ridden self with the need to stuff my face full of food and get rid of it. And my in-laws were coming this is when they came to pick up my kids to leave for California. So I decided to take another one of Kennedy's pills. And the same thing happened. And even my husband was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm great actually." And he goes, "Because people are coming and you're not trying to like scrub the house and clean out closets and drawers." Which that's what I do. Like when people come, like everything has to be perfect. Like you've seen my past vlogs where I talk about trying to let things go, and I just get so much anxiety and my thoughts won't slow down, and it's pretty bad. So the same thing happened. It's calm, focused. So that Monday, so that was on a Saturday. So I took it one more time on a Tuesday, and it did the same thing. I thought, this is ridiculous. I can't do this. I can't take my daughter's pills. I need to go see her psychiatrist, who just so happened to be my psychiatrist. Now, I have been on so many antidepressants for anxiety, for depression, stuff to help maybe get me to try to stop throwing out my food. Prozac, Paxil, I can't even name the names. Resputal, I can't even say them. They're Zola. I've been on a lot. They all seem to have the same effect on me. They make me really tired and lethargic, and they kind of turn me into a zombie. It's like I go from one extreme to the other extreme where I don't even want to get out of bed or do anything, and none of them have helped with the urge to binge and purge. That's always still been there. None of them have helped to slow down my brain or to see myself differently in the mirror. None of it's helped. In fact, the Paxil actually made me suicidal. Like, it was really bad. So I had to go off of that cold turkey. That was awful. So none of them have worked for me. So I went in, and he actually saw Kennedy first because she had an appointment that day. And then I told him, I said, hey, I did this thing, and I know I shouldn't have, but I wanted to talk to you about it. And I was honest. I told him what I did. I told him that I took Kennedy's pills 3 times. And he looked at me, and he was very quiet, and I thought, man, he's gonna like call the cops or something. Because I know that's not legal to take other people's prescription drugs. But he just looked at me, and he kind of shook his head, and I was like, okay, like awkward. And he said, have you ever been tested for ADHD or for autism? And I was like, what? No. I said, I sat in class, I wasn't like hyper. And he just shook his head again, and he goes, no. He said, that's ADHD doesn't always present itself that way. That's just a stereotype. That's like saying somebody with autism is like the Rain Man. And he goes, if you didn't have ADHD symptoms or autistic symptoms, like on the spectrum, he's like, and you took your daughter's pill, it would have done the opposite. He goes, in fact, they sell these kind of pills on the black market because they actually act as like speed, I guess, for adults that don't have the symptoms. So I guess they really raise your blood pressure, and like you're on speed, like they will decrease your appetite, and you'll just get everything done. And I remembered an episode of Desperate Housewives. I don't know if anybody ever used to watch that show, where Lynette on there took her son's Ritalin, and she like cleaned her whole house and made costumes, and she had all this energy. So he was telling me, for people that don't have the symptoms, they do the opposite. But for people that do have the symptoms, and there's no lying with it, it calms them down. So he said, unfortunately, with my generation, with ADHD and autism, there wasn't a lot. Kids didn't really get tested back then, and I wasn't a problematic child. So he said that because the pills worked on me like they work on Kennedy, I have ADHD, and I'm probably on the spectrum. He said I should probably get tested, that he's noticed some things, but he never could put his finger on it, and that's why all the other pills I tried to take never worked, because depression and anxiety weren't really the problems. And he said, unfortunately, living with it, it manifested itself in other disorders like anxiety or an eating disorder. So I tight clothes, if anything even felt a little bit tight on me. And I started talking to my mom, and she was like, wow, she's like, some of the pieces are starting to fall into place. She always had a hard time buying me clothes because things, they didn't feel a certain way, I couldn't wear them. And I'm still like that. I don't like anything that's even a little bit tight or form-fitting. I won't wear it. I can maybe stand it for about an hour, and then it has to come off. I don't like my feet to touch the bottom of a swimming pool. I don't like the shower curtain to rub up against me. I won't walk barefoot in my house because I'll feel the need to clean. I used to count things on my fingers. Like, I'd find words that were 10 letters and I'd count them on my fingers. It's a weird habit. I've always done it. I've never shared that before. I just have all these little quirks. He told me that when he talked to me, I make eye contact, but the minute I start talking, I don't make eye contact. So I asked my husband, I'm like, do I do that? And he was like, you know what, you do. He's like, you do that? And I asked several other people and they said the same thing. I don't know, it's just so weird, you guys. So I don't know if I'm gonna go get tested. I mean, if I'm on the spectrum for autism, it's very high. Like it's not like Kennedy or anything like that. It's not stopping me from functioning in society, but it kind of made things make sense for myself. All those weird little things make sense to me. And as far as like the anxiety and depression, like it became worse because the stuff that I was trying to do, or the pills they would put me on, that wasn't the problem. So he put me on Adderall, and I've been on it for a month now, and it works right away. So if I don't take it every day, it's not like I'm gonna go through withdrawals from it. But when I take it, I feel the effects right away, unlike antidepressants that take a while to work. This works for me right away. As soon as I take it, in about an hour, I start to feel that calm feeling. I start to slow down. I probably should have taken it before I made this vlog because I'm very mixed up in my words, which I do a lot. So I probably should have taken it before I made this, because it does slow my thinking down and I'm able to get things in order. So sorry. I've learned that it doesn't really decrease my appetite, but it kind of makes it where things don't taste the same. I don't know how to explain it. So I have to be really careful to make sure I eat breakfast first, because if I don't, then I'll set myself up for like forgetting to eat. Like it kind of takes the hunger signals away. I don't know how to explain it. So I like to eat and then take it. So it's pretty early. I haven't eaten breakfast yet. But it does calm me down. It helps me focus. It helps with everyday little things. Like I don't need to clean my house 24/7. People are coming over, then people are coming over. The house doesn't need to be perfect. My husband's seen a big change in me. My mom, even on the telephone, because we talk on video chat, she's seen a huge change in me. Most of my kids, I think, have seen a big change in me. My friend that I walk with has seen a change in me. Like it's really been a good thing. The biggest thing, and I don't know if it's because I have ADHD, so I don't know if it would work for everybody that has an eating disorder, because obviously everybody's bodies are different. But the biggest thing is I have not felt the need to starve myself or to binge and purge in a month. There's been no desire, nothing. There's nothing. It's so weird. Like the other night, I wanted to have a drumstick. We had some ice cream, and I went and I got it and I ate it and I went to bed. That never happens. I'm always filled with so much guilt after I eat something like that. So I'll either just beat myself up in my head and go to sleep, or I'll get rid of it. And it's been amazing, like, to just be normal. I think it's gonna help me have a healthier relationship with food. So that's my story. I don't recommend taking other people's medication. It was wrong, but it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because I am 44 and still having to deal with bulimia, and it's ugly. It's an ugly disease. It's hard to treat, and I think this might be I know there's never a cure or a magic pill, but this is definitely helping me. Alright, I gotta go wake up Kennedy and get her ready. I want to do more of these chats about mental health, because I think it's so important. And like this, like I am 44 and admitting that, you know, I was still throwing out my food. I know it's gross, I know it's ugly, but it's not just a disease for teenage girls. It's not just a disease where people are just skinny. Like, people can look absolutely normal and healthy, even like myself. I think I look healthy. I'm not really overweight. I'm not underweight. I have lost a bit of weight since being on the Adderall, but I think it's just because, honestly, because I'm keeping my food down and I'm eating 3 meals a day, and I'm not snacking in between, and I'm not binging, And I think that is why the weight's kind of falling off. Like, it's not a big amount. I've probably lost maybe 4 pounds. I don't weigh myself because numbers, me and numbers don't mix. But my clothes feel better, so there is that. But I do think that's why I'm losing weight. But just know that these kind of things can present themselves in many ways, and you don't have to look anorexic to have an eating disorder, or like morbidly obese to have an eating disorder. And I've learned with ADHD, doesn't mean that you're just super hyperactive and like all over the place. Like, it could just be you're hyperactive in your brain. And that was my problem. I was hyperactive in my brain. My thoughts never slowed down. I took it out in other ways, like the eating and the anxiety and the social stuff, which he did tell me is part where I could be on the spectrum too, with like social cues and social anxiety. My mom did say that I had a hard time with friends growing up. I had friends, but I didn't. Like, would have a couple good friends, and it was always hard for me. Like, I'd want to hang out with a friend, and then I would need to just be by myself. Like, I needed alone time a lot. Okay, I think that's it. If you have any questions, just type them down in the comments below. And like I said, I'll be making more videos like this, talking about Kennedy's diagnosis and some of my, well, I don't really know if I will talk about my other kids' issues, but I'll kind of talk about things I've noticed, but I'm not going to like say names or anything, because it's not my place. It's their story to tell, not mine. Kennedy's, obviously, I can tell hers. But just know you're not alone. Again, please don't take other people's medication. But if anything I've said on here you've noticed about yourself, go see your doctor. Maybe go see a mental health professional, ask to be tested. I'm not going to get tested for ADHD because he did tell me that if I didn't have it, those pills wouldn't have worked like they did for my brain. They would have done the opposite. So if any of this resonates with you, make an appointment, and I will see you guys next time. Chicken tendies.